Hello. Hello.
There you go. That's how we start we start the podcast now with just a couple of nice hellos.
Hello.
We welcome onto the podcast NHL veteran, former NFL chaplain, Adam Burt. Adam, how's it going today?
Hey, Sterling, thanks so much for having me. Rocco, Big D, thank you guys for having me on the show. I'm super pumped to be here.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So we'll start with this, Adam, and then I'm going to get out of the way. These guys have pages of questions, real high-level stuff. I was going to put this in the introduction because I think it's actually mandated. You're a former Hartford Whaler, and that is the top of many resumes. The Hartford Whalers, one of the most beloved franchises that hasn't existed in a long time. You were there through the transformation. They were in Hartford. They moved to Carolina. What was it like being a Hartford Whaler and then one day waking up being a Carolina Hurricane?
Yeah. It was, listen, I love my time in Hartford. And I do think it's so great how it's so nostalgic now where you see everywhere I go, you can still see people wearing Hartford Whaler jerseys and stuff. So kind of cool to be a part of that. Yeah, it was real sad to leave. I still can remember the last game and just playing it, and we just all just lingered and stayed on the ice, and all the fans stayed and gave us a heartfelt goodbye. And yeah, it was really. In fact, I think Sterling, if I remember right, I got a little carried away, and it was like I realized, oh my gosh, all my teammates are off the ice, and I'm still waving to everybody in the stands. So it's like I better get off. So, but yeah, and then going to Carolina, we weren't so good when I was there, but wow, they went on to win a Stanley Cup. So pretty good for everybody all around.
Well, if there was a place to hang it, I think Hartford would hang a banner for that as well and take some solace in it. But yeah. All right, the guys here have pages of questions. Big D, why don't you get us started off here?
Hi. What is your favorite part about hockey?
All right. Well, so you guys know what the greatest check is in hockey, right? Like,
no.
So there's like the body check, and then there's the hip check, but the greatest check is the paycheck, you guys. All right. So, but yeah. So sorry, that's a cheesy dad joke. But anyways, guys, the greatest. Did you ask me, D? Was it the greatest thing about hockey?
Your most favorite part about hockey?
Yeah. You know what I really liked, D, is I loved like the discipline and then having teammates. Like having teammates. I don't think I would be very good at an individual sport, but I love having a bunch of teammates, a bunch of guys that we can go battle together with, and so that part was really great. And then I love the discipline and the routine of every day you get up out of bed and you have a mission, man. It's like, man, I'm gonna be the best hockey player I can possibly be today, and you keep trying to push yourself further, farther, and faster, And so I think that's what was most fun for me.
What was it like to beat the hell out of Scott Walker?
No sugarcoating it. We're just hitting it with the...
So Rocco and D, you guys know, so I'm a Christian, and yet there's a lot of fighting in hockey, but, Jesus said it's better to give than to receive, right? And so every now and then we would drop the gloves and fight, but it's funny. It's just part of the game or whatever. So just so you know, D, this is just between me and you. Hopefully our listeners aren't going to hear this, but they have a website about hockey fights. And they scored my fights. They said I had 95 fights in the NHL, and it said I won 5 of them.
Let's go.
So I got beat up a lot.
Did you ever get hurt in these brawls that you fought against people?
I did get hurt in a few fights. One time. I was fighting a guy, Rick Tockett, who was a pretty tough guy. I was with Hartford and he was with Boston, and we dropped the gloves and fought. And he hit me with the left, and he shattered the left side of my face. Ooh. So it took 5 hours of surgery, and they put in 13 plates and 24 screws. And so my face on an X-ray looks like the Terminator. But really, other than that, though, it's funny, guys. When you fight, it's really just a part of the game, and guys aren't like so mad at each other most of the time. It's more just a part of positioning for the game. So yeah.
Adam, what was your childhood like?
What was my childhood like?
Yeah. What was it like growing up?
Oh, yeah, good question. So I grew up. Something bad happened early on. Is my parents divorced, and so I don't know how many of your listeners maybe had to go through that. It's not easy, right? But my dad was the one who got custody of us growing up, and so my dad was big into hockey, and so I would do that with my father, and so that was a way that we bonded together. And guess what? He was my dad was my first coach, and Rocco and D, I was the worst player on the team, and so I should have not made the team. But when your daddy's the coach, you got to make the team, right?
Yeah.
So that was it. He said I was a terrible skater, but I kept falling down. But he says you always got back up again. And so I think it's important, guys, whenever you fall down, right? You just got to keep getting back up again, and you're going to win.
If you were to go back in time and change one thing, what would it be?
Oh, that's an easy one for me, guys. I would have had more fun. I would have had more fun playing in the NHL. Like, I think sometimes we just get too serious and don't get to enjoy where we're at. And so if I could do it over again, I would have a lot more fun and not be so worried about winning and losing or playing good or playing bad. I would have a lot more fun. So I hope you guys, when you're playing sports, you guys have a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah. How many hours did you practice a week?
Great. Yeah, that's a really good question. I got to tell you guys, being the chaplain for the New York Jets, I can't believe how long football players practice. They practice so much, but for us in hockey, it was a lot shorter. We would play, probably have to be at the arena on a practice day from like 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then we had the rest of the day. But I will say this. So football players, they only got to play, 17 games now? And I think in the NHL, I think it's 84 games they play in a year. So there's a lot more games, though. So yeah, maybe that's why we don't practice as long.
My record is 15 hours ice time a week. Well, just this one week because school vacation and all. But
awesome, man. Do you have a cool stick, D? I love the cool one-piece sticks now. They're awesome.
Yeah, I just got an Alexander Ovechkin stick. Not game played or anything, but it's an Alexander.
Wow, that's got to be awesome, man. You'll score a lot of goals.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to go back to hockey, which team would you play?
Guys, so I got the chance to play for the Philadelphia Flyers, and I loved playing in Philadelphia. So I would go back and be a Philadelphia Flyer.
Oh, okay.
Actually, they're not doing so good. I think I could play for them right now.
I was going to say, they may have an opening for you right now.
Exactly.
Come on in.
Who was your favorite player growing up?
Oh, okay. Now you guys are going to give away how old I am. So, my favorite player growing up was there was a guy by the name of Reed Larson. You guys have probably never heard of him. He played for the Red Wings, and I grew up in Detroit. So he had the hardest slap shot in the league, and I thought that was so cool.
I've heard of
and
him.
Then I got to then later on, before I got drafted, they had this other guy who was pretty good. His name was Wayne Gretzky, right?
I've heard of
And
him.
and so I thought he was kind of cool too. Can I tell you guys a funny story about Gretzky?
Sure.
So guys, when Gretzky got traded to the LA Kings, And so I remember the first time I got to play against him with Hartford, and we were on the ice, and guess what? Rocco and Dorian, a 5-on-5 fight broke out where everybody grabbed somebody, and guess what? I had Wayne Gretzky.
What?
So
What?
yeah, but get this, we didn't fight. So I actually pushed him away because I'm like, Wayne, you're too small. He's not a big guy. And I was like, I need to go get somebody bigger and fight a bigger guy. And he said, he grabbed a hold of me and he said, no, let's stay here and we'll watch the other guys fight. And
Oh my God.
so I got to stand with Wayne Gretzky, and that was pretty cool.
So your record was 95 fights. You won 5, 90 someone cheated, and then you had a draw with Wayne Gretzky.
That's right. Yeah, that's a lose-lose. You don't want to fight the great ones, that's for sure.
If you were to go to a different sport, which one would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. A different sport. You guys, I really love NFL, like watching all that stuff, but I see how big those guys are, and I'm like, oh. So, but NFL is my favorite sport. Even I think more than hockey. I really love everything about the NFL. And then I think I would say that I think NBA players are the best athletes. So I could probably never do that. So yeah, that's probably my only answer to that, fellas.
Sweet. Here's some trivia about your career. How many minutes did you spend in the penalty box your whole career?
Oh, dang. That's a good question. 700.
206
Ooh.
206?
minutes in the penalty box.
Wow, man.
It
Well,
seemed like
legit,
so
I
much
wasn't
more.
But
exactly.
but you did play 737 games.
Oh, okay. So I got to play for a little while.
It's
Yeah.
probably because that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
inflation.
Don't look at how many goals I scored, though, guys. Not too many.
What is the life of a professional athlete like?
My big joke is now, guys, when I retired, I got to get a real job. So hockey was great because we would get the summertime off, and so that was nice. So you got to spend more time with your family and your kids and that, and so that was good. I'm trying to think of what else in the lifestyle that I enjoyed. Like we said, it was it's kind of fun, guys. Is I played in Hartford, was a small city, so it was like hockey wasn't that big a deal. But then when I got traded to Philly, it was a really big deal.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool that, like, for a minute you got to be kind of famous, and people recognized you and stuff like that. And so I had never experienced that before. So I'd be lying if I didn't say it was a little bit fun. But if you're losing, it wasn't very much fun.
No, not at all.
What would you say is some good advice to some hockey kids out there?
Oh, so I would say the number one thing is work on your skating. Work on your skating, because that's the dividing line between being a pro and not being a pro. Is your skating has to be so good. And then let me see. After that, what would I say? I would say this. Like, I would give you advice from my career, guys. Is it's how bad do you want it? So, like I said, I was the worst player, but if you keep trying and keep working hard, you'll keep developing, and eventually you'll start to pass out over people. And so I would just encourage you guys just keep working hard every day. Like I said earlier, man, if you ever fall down, whoever gets up the most wins the game. So keep getting up.
If you were to go back and give yourself one piece of advice before you become a pastor, what would it be?
Yeah. I think the number one thing I said would be like, definitely have fun, have more fun. And then let me think, what other piece of advice would I give myself? I would say, that to live more in the moment. I don't know if that sounds confusing to you guys, but have you guys ever made a mistake and then you just remember your mistake over and over, and then it makes you make more mistakes instead of just forgiving yourself and then just forgetting about it, and then you just go on for the next play. So in other words, yeah, go ahead.
That's happened to me in Little League a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So we could just forget it and let's go on to the next play.
Don't care.
That's happened to me in like video games.
Wow. I need to see some videotape of your stuff afterwards, Dorian. I want to see some of your skills, man.
Sweet.
If you were to play football, which team would you play for?
Oh, come on, guys. The Jets, right? The New York Jets.
That's what my dad played for.
Yes, Rock. I can brag on your dad. Your dad was, I think he had for being like the strongest guy on the Jets for quite a while. He probably still has some records. So that's right. And your daddy was such a good help and a great leader on the New York Jets.
Well, he might have cursed him on his way out of town. I think as soon as he left the franchise, it's all been downhill since Mike DeVito left New York. It's something we're working on here.
I tell you, Sterling, Mike DeVito, he lost a person, I think, man. I thought, who is that skinny guy now? He was, man, massive. He was a mountain of a man.
Oh my goodness, and he hates it. There's most you see linemen and they start running marathons and they drop 200 pounds. Everyone's like, oh, you look great. He can't stand it. He absolutely hates every pound that he's lost. There's a lot of shame with that. Adam, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us, and our guest host today, Dorian and Rocco.
Oh man, hey, you guys are amazing. And I know you guys are going to be great athletes and great young men, and so I'm so honored to be a part of it. And then give a big Mike DeVito, give him a fist bump for me. And Sterling, I hope we could meet one time, bud.